I need you to stop everything you're doing right now and give me your complete attention. Because what I'm about to share with you is something the universe has been trying to tell you for weeks, maybe even months, but you haven't been ready to hear it until this very moment. There's someone in your life, and you know exactly who I'm talking about, that person whose name just popped into your mind the second you read this title, the one who's been occupying your thoughts, draining your energy, confusing your heart, and making you question your own intuition over and over again. The universe brought you to this video right now because it's time for you to see the truth, the complete and unfiltered truth about this person and the role they're playing in your life, whether they're genuinely supporting your growth or subtly sabotaging your progress, whether they're helping you rise or keeping you trapped in cycles that no longer serve your highest good. And I need you to make a commitment to yourself right now. Before we go any deeper into this revelation, you will stay with me until the very last word of this video, because the most important piece of information, the insight that will finally give you the clarity you've been desperately seeking, often comes in those final moments when you least expect it. The universe works in mysterious ways, and sometimes it saves the most powerful truth for the end, testing your commitment, seeing if you're really ready to receive what you've been asking for. So promise me, promise yourself that you won't click away when the message gets uncomfortable, when the truth starts to sting a little, when you feel that resistance rising up because deep down you already know what I'm going to confirm for you, but you've been too afraid to admit it to yourself. Now here's what I need from you to amplify the power of this message and create a collective energy that will help everyone who needs this guidance. Leave a comment below telling me what realization is hitting you as you watch this, or simply share where in the world you're watching from, because your participation matters more than you know. Let's reach 100 comments on this video together, because when we create that kind of engagement, we send a signal to the universe that we're ready for truth, that we're willing to face reality even when it's difficult, that we're committed to our own growth regardless of how painful the process might be. And make sure you subscribe to this channel right now, because here's something important you need to understand. When you subscribe and watch videos all the way through, the algorithm prioritizes you, which means you'll be the first to see future content that the universe needs you to receive. You won't miss the next message that could change everything, the next piece of guidance that arrives exactly when you need it most. Those who watch until the end are remembered faster by the platform. They stay connected to this flow of wisdom and truth, and they position themselves to receive the full support that's available to them. To continue helping you on this journey, the universe asks for just one simple thing. Leave a motivational comment on this video, something that inspires you or might help someone else who's going through the same struggle you're facing right now. We need to hit this goal together so we can keep bringing you more stories and insights like this, more truth-telling that cuts through the confusion and helps you see your life clearly. Now let's dive into the truth about this person, and I want you to open your heart and mind to what you're about to hear, even if it challenges everything you've been telling yourself. Let me tell you a story about someone we'll call Jordan, because this story is actually a combination of countless real experiences I've witnessed, lives that were transformed when people finally stopped lying to themselves about who was really in their corner and who was secretly holding them back. Jordan had someone in their life, someone who seemed important, someone they'd invested years of emotional energy into, someone they kept defending and making excuses for despite mounting evidence that something fundamental was wrong with the dynamic. This person, we'll call them Morgan, had a way of showing up that always felt slightly off, slightly conditional, slightly manipulative. But Jordan couldn't quite put their finger on what was wrong because Morgan was clever about it, never overtly cruel or obviously toxic, just subtly undermining in ways that were easy to dismiss or rationalize away. Morgan would offer support, but then somehow make Jordan feel guilty for needing it. Morgan would celebrate Jordan's successes, but always with a small comment that diminished the achievement or shifted the focus back to Morgan's own struggles. Morgan would be there during crises, but would later bring up those moments as evidence of how much Jordan owed them, creating an unspoken debt that could never quite be repaid. Jordan felt constantly off balance around Morgan, always trying to prove their worth, always walking on eggshells, always feeling like they were one mistake away from losing the relationship, even though they were the one consistently showing up with genuine care and effort. For years, Jordan ignored the signs because They'd convinced themselves that this person was essential to their life, that losing them would leave a void that could never be filled, that any relationship required compromise and difficulty, and wasn't it selfish to expect too much from people who were dealing with their own problems? But here's what Jordan didn't understand, what the universe was trying desperately to show them through a series of increasingly obvious signs. Morgan wasn't just a flawed person doing their best. Morgan was actively blocking Jordan's blessings, intercepting opportunities meant for Jordan, creating drama and chaos at precisely the moments when Jordan was about to break through to the next level of their life. Every time Jordan was on the verge of something great, a new job opportunity, a potential romantic relationship with someone healthy and available, a chance to relocate and start fresh, Morgan would suddenly have a crisis that required Jordan's immediate and complete attention, pulling them back into the dysfunction, making them feel guilty for even considering their own needs and dreams. And Jordan kept falling for it, kept abandoning their own path to rescue Morgan from situations that Morgan had created and could have resolved themselves if they were willing to take responsibility instead of using Jordan as their emotional crutch and scapegoat. The universe started sending Jordan messages, clear and undeniable messages, but Jordan was so conditioned to ignore their intuition in favor of loyalty and guilt that they missed every single one until the signs became impossible to ignore. Jordan started having recurring dreams about being trapped in a room with doors that wouldn't open. And every time they looked around, Morgan was standing there holding the key but refusing to hand it over, always saying, "Soon, just wait a little longer, you're not ready yet." Jordan would wake up with their heart pounding, feeling suffocated and anxious, but they'd push the feeling down and tell themselves it was just stress, just their imagination, nothing to do with Morgan, who claimed to care about them so much. Then Jordan started noticing a pattern. Every time they spent extended time with Morgan, they felt depleted for days afterward, struggling to accomplish anything, feeling unmotivated and foggy, and questioning their own abilities and worth. But when they spent time with other friends or alone pursuing their own interests, they felt energized and creative and confident. The contrast was stark, but Jordan kept making excuses, kept blaming themselves for being too sensitive or not understanding Morgan's love language or failing to appreciate the relationship for what it was rather than what they wanted it to be. Things reached a breaking point when Jordan was offered an incredible opportunity, something they'd worked toward for years, something that aligned perfectly with their skills and passions and would significantly improve their quality of life. Jordan was excited, terrified, and hopeful all at once, and when they shared the news with Morgan, expecting enthusiasm or at least genuine happiness for their success, Morgan's response was chilling in its calculated negativity. Morgan immediately pointed out all the potential problems, questioned whether Jordan was really qualified, suggested that accepting the opportunity would be selfish because it might mean less time for their relationship, and then delivered the final manipulation wrapped in concern. "I just don't want you to get hurt when this doesn't work out the way you're imagining. You have a tendency to get your hopes up and then fall apart when reality hits. I'm just trying to protect you." Jordan felt all their excitement drain away, replaced by doubt and fear, and that familiar shame that Morgan was so good at triggering. For a moment, Jordan almost turned down the opportunity, almost let Morgan's fear and jealousy masquerading as care convinced them to stay small and safe and stuck. But this is where the universe intervened in a way that could not be ignored or rationalized away. That night, Jordan couldn't sleep, tossing and turning with a sick feeling in their stomach that went beyond normal anxiety about a big decision. They got up and went for a walk at 3 in the morning, something they never did, following an impulse they didn't understand but felt compelled to obey. And on that walk, Jordan ran into someone they hadn't seen in years, a former mentor who had moved away and happened to be visiting town for just one night. They talked for hours as the sun came up, and this mentor, who knew nothing about Jordan's current situation, said something that shattered the illusion Jordan had been living under. "I always wondered what happened to you. You had so much potential, so much fire and ambition, and then it was like you just dimmed. I asked around about you a few years ago and someone mentioned you'd gotten really close with someone who seemed to take up all your energy. I hoped you'd find your way back to yourself eventually." Those words hit Jordan like a physical blow, not because they were cruel, but because they were true, devastatingly and undeniably true. Jordan realized in that moment that Morgan had been slowly, systematically dismantling their confidence and independence, creating a dynamic where Jordan felt incapable of making decisions or pursuing dreams without Morgan's approval, where every achievement was minimized and every setback was magnified as proof that Jordan needed Morgan's guidance and reality checks. This wasn't love, this wasn't friendship, this wasn't support, this was control disguised as care. This was someone who felt threatened by Jordan's potential and worked to keep them trapped at a level where Morgan could feel superior and necessary. The universe had been screaming this truth at Jordan for years through dreams and physical symptoms and opportunities that appeared and disappeared, through other people's observations and Jordan's own gut feelings that something was fundamentally wrong. But Jordan had been too loyal, too conditioned, too afraid of the emptiness they imagined would follow if they removed Morgan from their life. That chance encounter with the mentor at 3 a.m. was the universe's final attempt to break through Jordan's denial. And this time, finally, Jordan was ready to listen. Now I want you to think about this person in your own life, the one who came to mind when you started watching this video, and I want you to ask yourself some brutally honest questions. When you're around this person, do you feel expanded or contracted? Do you feel free to be your authentic self, to share your dreams and fears without judgment, to celebrate your wins without diminishing them, to make the other person feel comfortable? Or do you find yourself editing your words, hiding your excitement, downplaying your achievements, walking on eggshells, because you never quite know what will trigger their criticism or withdrawal or subtle punishment? When good things happen in your life, is this person genuinely happy for you, celebrating your success with authentic enthusiasm? Or do they find ways to redirect the conversation to themselves, to point out potential problems, to remind you of past failures, to make you feel guilty for having something they don't? When you're going through difficult times, does this person show up with consistent, unconditional support that actually helps you move forward, or do they seem almost energized by your struggles, eager to offer advice that keeps you dependent on them, frustrated when you start to find your own solutions and strength? Let me talk to you about the psychological dynamics at play here, because understanding this will help you see the situation clearly without the fog of guilt and conditioning that's been clouding your judgment. Some people, often without even consciously realizing it, are threatened by your growth and success because it challenges their own stagnation and insecurity. When you start to rise, to expand, to claim your power and potential, it forces them to confront their own fears and limitations, and instead of using your example as inspiration to pursue their own growth, they unconsciously work to pull you back down to their level where they feel safe and in control. This isn't about them being evil or deliberately malicious. It's about them operating from a place of deep fear and lack, seeing life as a competition where your wins are their losses, where your expansion threatens the identity they've built around being your protector, or advisor, or the strong one, or the realistic one who keeps your head out of the clouds. They've convinced themselves that they're helping you by tempering your expectations and protecting you from disappointment. But what they're actually doing is projecting their own fear of failure onto you and limiting your possibilities to match their own limited vision of what's achievable. The universe wants you to understand something crucial. Anyone who consistently makes you feel small, doubtful, guilty, or less than you are is not operating in your best interest, regardless of how they frame their behavior or how long you've known them or what history you share. True support looks like someone who celebrates your victories as if they were their own, who encourages your dreams even when they don't fully understand them, who points out your strengths when you're forgetting them, who gives you space to figure things out on your own while letting you know they're available if you need them, who feels genuine joy when you succeed and genuine compassion without superiority when you struggle. True support flows freely without conditions or scorekeeping, without guilt trips or manipulation, without subtle jabs disguised as jokes or concern. If this person in your life doesn't match that description, if you constantly feel like you're managing their emotions or earning their approval or proving your worth to them, then the universe is showing you very clearly that this relationship is not aligned with your highest good and is actively blocking the blessings that are trying to reach you. Here's something else the universe wants you to know. The reason this person has been so hard to release or set boundaries with is because they've become tangled up in your identity and your sense of security, and your subconscious mind fears that removing them will leave you vulnerable and alone. But this is an illusion, a trick of the ego that wants to keep you in familiar patterns, even when those patterns are destroying you slowly. The truth is that when you release relationships that are holding you back, when you create space, by removing people who drain your energy and diminish your light, the universe rushes in to fill that space with connections and opportunities and support that actually align with who you're becoming and where you're meant to go. Nature abhors a vacuum, and when you empty your life of what's not serving you, you make room for what will elevate and expand you in ways you can't even imagine from your current vantage point. The people and situations that are meant for your next level can't reach you while you're still clutching onto relationships from your old level. Relationships that are anchoring you to a version of yourself that you've outgrown. Let me give you some practical guidance on how to handle this situation, because awareness without action changes nothing, and the universe is asking you to move, to choose yourself, to honor the truth you're finally ready to see. First, you need to get clear on what you actually want from this relationship and whether this person is capable of providing it. This requires brutal honesty, not wishful thinking or projection or hope that they'll change if you just love them enough, or communicate better, or give them one more chance. Look at the pattern of behavior over time, not isolated incidents or promises of change that never materialize into consistent action. If someone has shown you repeatedly who they are and how they operate, believe them. Stop rewriting the narrative to protect your heart from the disappointment of accepting reality. Second, you need to start setting boundaries, and here's the key. Boundaries aren't about controlling the other person's behavior. They're about deciding what you will and won't accept in your own life and following through with consequences when those boundaries are violated. This means you might have to reduce contact, decline invitations to drama, refuse to engage in conversations that leave you feeling terrible about yourself, or even end the relationship entirely if the person proves unwilling or unable to respect your needs and limits. I know this is scary. I know you're afraid of the guilt and the confrontation and the possibility that you'll regret it, or that you're being too harsh, or that you're abandoning someone who needs you. But let me tell you something about guilt. It's often a sign that you've been conditioned to prioritize other people's comfort over your own well-being, to see self-care as selfishness, to believe that you're responsible for managing everyone else's emotions and problems, even at the cost of your own peace and progress. The universe is asking you to question where that conditioning came from, and whether it's actually serving your highest good, or keeping you trapped in relationships that extract far more than they contribute. And regarding the fear that you'll regret setting boundaries or walking away, consider this. Do you really think you'll get to the end of your life and regret choosing yourself, honoring your needs, pursuing your dreams, and surrounding yourself with people who genuinely support you? Or is it more likely that you'll regret the years you spent dimming your light and limiting your potential to keep someone else comfortable with their own stagnation? From a financial perspective, this person might also be impacting your material abundance in ways you haven't fully recognized. Are they constantly borrowing money that never gets repaid? Are they dismissing your financial goals as materialistic or unrealistic? Are they creating chaos that distracts you from focusing on your career or business? Are they encouraging you to spend money you don't have on things that don't serve your long-term goals? The universe flows abundance to those who are in alignment with their highest purpose. And when you're surrounded by people who drain your energy and undermine your confidence, you're not in a position to receive or recognize the opportunities that are trying to reach you. Financial success requires clarity, focus, energy, and belief in your own worth and capabilities, and if this person is attacking any of those things, they're directly blocking your financial blessings whether they realize it or not. Sometimes the fastest way to increase your income and opportunities is to remove the people who are energetically blocking your abundance with their negativity, jealousy, and small-minded thinking. In terms of romantic relationships, if this person is a romantic partner, the universe is asking you to be especially honest about whether they're truly your partner in the sense of supporting your growth and building a life together, or whether they're someone who needs you to stay small so they can feel big, someone who's threatened by your independence and tries to isolate you from other sources of support and joy. Someone who uses love as a weapon and affection as a reward for compliance, rather than offering unconditional acceptance and celebration of who you are. Real love expands you. It makes you feel more capable and confident and alive. It encourages you to pursue your dreams and cheers you on every step of the way. It offers support without strings and celebrates your individuality, rather than trying to control or change you. If your romantic relationship leaves you feeling anxious, unworthy, confused, or constantly trying to earn love that should be freely given, the universe is showing you clearly that this is not your person, that you're settling for scraps when a feast is waiting for you once you're brave enough to leave the table where you're not being properly fed. If this person is a family member, the situation is more complex, because we're conditioned to believe that family relationships are sacred and must be maintained regardless of how toxic they are. But the universe wants you to know that DNA doesn't give anyone the right to abuse you, diminish you, or block your blessings. You can love family members from a distance. You can honor the connection without allowing them unlimited access to your energy and peace. You can create boundaries that protect your well-being while still maintaining some form of relationship if that's what you choose. But you are not obligated to sacrifice your mental health, your dreams, your growth, or your happiness to keep family members comfortable or to maintain traditions and dynamics that harm you. The universe doesn't recognize human constructs like family hierarchy or filial obligation. It only recognizes energy and alignment. And if a family member is out of alignment with your highest good, you have every right and actually a spiritual responsibility to yourself to limit their impact on your life. Spiritually, here's what's happening. The universe has been orchestrating events and sending signs to show you the truth about this person because you're ready for your next level of evolution. And this relationship is the primary thing holding you back from stepping into that new reality. You can't become who you're meant to be while surrounded by people who need you to stay who you were. People who are invested in the old version of you because it served their needs and made them feel secure in their position in your life. The universe is clearing the path for new connections, new opportunities, new experiences that match your emerging frequency. But you have to be willing to release what's no longer in alignment, even when it's painful, even when you've invested years, even when you're afraid of the unknown that waits on the other side of that release. Trust that the universe has something better planned for you, something you can't access while you're still clinging to relationships that have expired, that served their purpose in a previous chapter, but have no place in the story you're about to write. I want you to pay attention over the next few days to how you feel after interactions with this person. Really check in with your body, with your energy levels, with your emotional state. Do you feel lighter and inspired, or heavy and depleted? Do you feel more confident in yourself or more doubtful and confused? Does spending time with them leave you excited about your life and future, or anxious and stuck? Your body knows the truth, even when your mind is still making excuses. And physical sensations of heaviness, tension, exhaustion, or nausea after spending time with someone are messages from the universe telling you that this connection is harming you energetically. Start trusting those messages. Start honoring what your intuition has been trying to tell you all along. Start choosing your own well-being over loyalty to relationships that are actively working against your highest good. The universe is also asking you to consider who you might become without this person's voice in your head, constantly telling you what you can't do, what you shouldn't want, what's too risky or unrealistic or selfish. Imagine waking up every day without the weight of managing someone else's emotions or defending your choices or justifying your dreams. Imagine pursuing opportunities without that nagging doubt they've planted in your mind. Imagine celebrating your wins fully without immediately thinking about how this person will react or diminish it. Imagine having energy for your own growth instead of constantly pouring it into a bottomless pit of someone else's dysfunction and need. Who could you be? What could you accomplish? How much peace could you feel if you released this anchor and allowed yourself to float freely toward your highest potential? The answer to that question should guide your next steps, because the universe didn't bring you into this life to spend it managing other people's insecurities and limitations at the expense of your own expansion and joy. Here's your action plan moving forward. First, acknowledge the truth you've been avoiding. Say it out loud to yourself. Write it in your journal. Stop pretending that things are different than they are. Second, decide what boundaries you need to set to protect your energy and well-being, and commit to maintaining those boundaries, even when guilt or fear tempts you to abandon them. Third, start investing your time and energy in relationships and activities that actually nourish you, that reflect the life you want to create, rather than the life you're trying to escape. Fourth, watch for the signs that the universe sends when you make these changes, the new people who appear, the opportunities that emerge, the sense of relief and expansion that comes from finally honoring yourself. And fifth, trust the process even when it's uncomfortable, even when this person reacts badly to your boundaries, even when you feel guilty or scared or unsure, because the universe is guiding you towards something better than you can imagine from where you currently stand. The truth the universe is showing you about this person might be painful to accept, but it's also incredibly liberating, because now you have clarity, now you have choice. Now you can make decisions based on reality rather than hope or guilt or fear. Some people are meant to be in your life forever, growing and evolving alongside you in mutual support and genuine care. Other people are meant to be there for a season, teaching you lessons about boundaries and self-worth and the importance of choosing yourself even when it's hard. And some people, if you're really honest, were never meant to be in your life at all but got there through circumstance or manipulation, or your own people-pleasing tendencies. And recognizing that truth is the first step toward freedom. The universe has shown you what you needed to see. Now the question is what you're going to do with that information, whether you're going to continue the same patterns hoping for different results, or whether you're finally ready to honor yourself enough to make the changes that your soul has been begging for. So here's what I need you to do right now. Leave a comment below telling me what realization hit you hardest in this video, or simply share where in the world you're watching from, because your voice matters and your experience matters, and connecting with this community amplifies the power of the message for everyone. Let's reach 100 comments together, because that collective energy confirms to the universe that we're ready for truth and transformation. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because those who subscribe and watch until the end are prioritized by the algorithm, meaning you'll be first to receive the next message when the universe has more guidance to share. Those who engage fully are remembered faster and stay connected to this flow of wisdom. To continue supporting your journey, the universe asks for one simple thing. Leave a motivational comment that might help someone else who's struggling with the same situation, because we rise together, and your words could be exactly what another soul needs to hear today. And if you want, tell me from which corner of the world you're watching this video. Your comment matters, and I want to read it and respond to you. For more exciting stories like this, click on the video that appears on your screen right now.